Okay, members, if I could have you seated. We're broadcasting. So at this time during the session when we have bills being introduced, we typically do something called a behind the bar, which is a committee is not presently gavelled in, but they've got bills delivered, so the committee needs to gavel in and take the vote to introduce the bill so that it can come down and be on our agenda. So Government Affairs is going to do that. But we're not going behind the bar. What we're going to do is stay seated and be transmitting so that the public can see what we're doing. But we're going to have Chair Flores go ahead and call his meeting to order, and then you'll hear Ms. Bishop, Ackert, sorry, thank you. Committee Secretary will call the roll. So if you're Government Affairs members, when he asks for the voice vote to introduce the bill, just from your seat, let your voice be heard. And so we're gonna do it this way for this purposes. So it's all yours, Chairman Flores.
Thank you. The Assembly Committee on Government Affairs will come to order. Mr. Secretary, please call roll.
Hello? Oh. Assemblywoman Anderson. Assemblywoman Black. Assemblywoman Brown May. Assemblywoman Considine. Assemblywoman Dickman. Assemblywoman Duran. Assemblyman Ellison. Assemblywoman Martinez. Assemblyman Matthews. Assemblyman MacArthur.
Here.
Assemblywoman Assemblywoman Thomas. Assemblywoman Torres. Chair Flores.
Present. Please let the record reflect all members are present. We have a quorum. Members, we have two committee BDRs that we need to introduce. I want to remind you all that an introduction of a committee BDR does not mean that you support this measure in any way. You are simply allowing for it to go through the normal waves that we're accustomed to, where it will get introduced and referred to a committee, and then you'll have an opportunity to vet it and then vote it out should you wish to. And with that, I'd like to first entertain a motion to introduce BDR 23-1031, which is an act that requires the Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission to adopt certain regulations concerning the recruitment and selection of peace officers, amongst other things. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to introduce BDR 23-1031.
So moved, Vice Chair Torres.
Vice Chair Torres has made the motion to introduce BDR 23-1031. Do I have a second?
Second, Anderson.
Assemblywoman Anderson has seconded that motion. Members, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, Mr. Secretary, if you could please do a roll call vote.
Assemblywoman Anderson. Assemblywoman Black. Assemblywoman Brown May. Assemblywoman Considine. Assemblywoman Dickman. Assemblywoman Duran. Assemblyman Ellison. Assemblywoman Martinez. Assemblyman Matthews. Assemblyman MacArthur. Assemblywoman Thomas. Assemblywoman Torres. Chair Flores.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Please let the record reflect the motion carries unanimously. Next on the agenda, we have the bill introduction of BDR 28-200, which is an act that revises qualifications for entering into a contract with a public body as a construction manager at risk, requiring a contract between a public body and a construction manager as an agent to be awarded through a competitive bidding process, amongst other things. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to introduce BDR 28-200.
So moved, Vice Chair Torres.
Vice Chair Torres has made the motion to introduce BDR 28-200. Do I have a second?
Second, Anderson, Martinez. Second.
Assemblywoman Anderson has seconded that motion. Members, any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Secretary, please do a roll call vote.
Assemblywoman Anderson. Assemblywoman Black. Assemblywoman Brown May. Assemblywoman Considine. Assemblywoman Dickman. Assemblywoman Duran. Assemblyman Ellison. Assemblywoman Martinez. Assemblyman Matthews. Assemblyman MacArthur. Assemblywoman Thomas. Assemblywoman Torres. Chair Flores.
Yes, motion carries unanimously. Thank you, members. This meeting's adjourned.
That was behind the bar. Good job. Great job. And just a quick reminder for the body while we're here, because remember, we're going to recess. We have the State of the Judiciary tonight. So because we're going to come back to floor this evening, if you have BDRs that have been handed to you, keep turning them in to the chief clerk's desk, because we might have the ability to do some referrals tonight. So don't sit on them, pitch them in.
The Assembly will come to order. The Chief Clerk will call the roll.
Assemblywoman Anderson, Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson, Assemblywoman Bilbra Axelrod, Assemblywoman Black, Assemblywoman Brown May, Assemblywoman Carlton, Assemblywoman Cohen, Assemblywoman Considine, Assemblywoman Dickman, Assemblywoman Duran, Assemblyman Ellison, Assemblyman Flores, Assemblywoman Gonzalez, Assemblywoman Gorlow, Assemblyman Hafen, Assemblywoman Hanson, Assemblywoman Hardy, Assemblywoman Howdigi, Assemblywoman Kasama, Assemblywoman Krasner, Assemblyman Levitt, Assemblywoman Martinez, Assemblywoman Marzola, Assemblyman Matthews, Assemblyman MacArthur, Assemblywoman Brittany Miller, Assemblyman C.H. Miller, Assemblywoman Monroe Moreno, Assemblywoman Nguyen, Assemblyman O'Neill, Assemblyman Orentlicker, Assemblywoman Peters, Assemblyman Roberts, Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong, Assemblywoman Thomas, Assemblywoman Titus, Assemblywoman Tolles, Assemblywoman Torres, Assemblyman Watts, Assemblyman Wheeler, Assemblyman Yeager, Speaker Frierson.
Here, Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May the record reflect that we have all 42 members present.
The record shall so reflect there are 42 members present. There is a quorum. The Assembly will please rise for the prayer by President Rajan Zed of the Universal Society of Hinduism in Reno.
Om Bhurvahasvaha Tat Savitr Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. We meditate on the transcendental glory of the Deity Supreme, who's inside the heart of the earth, inside the life of the sky, and inside the soul of the heaven. May He stimulate and illuminate our minds. Vardatam na sacha sa vam sumati bhutu asme avistam diya jigratam uram di jajadstam aya vanu sam arati. May that good intention inside us grow and become a means of restraining the low thoughts. May these well-reflected and comprehended thoughts move and spread out to rescue those awaiting to be released from the malignant ones. Anna Peksha Susir Daksha Udasino Gata Vyatha Sarva Ramba Prityagi Yo Mad Bhakta Sa Mi Priya. The devotee who is detached, pure, efficient, impartial, never anxious, selfless in our undertakings is very dear to God. Badram Karne Bi Srunu Yama Deva Badram Pas E Mak Sabir Yajartra Sathi Rare Angayis Tusu Vamsas Tanubi Vyasema Deva Hitam Yad Ayu. May we, O God, hear what is good for all. May we see only what is good for all. May we serve you all our life. May we be used to spread your peace on earth. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Om. Thank you.
Thank you. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance. Order of Business 2, reading and approval of the Journal.
Carson City, Wednesday,
Mr.
March
Speaker.
24.
Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to dispense with further reading of the journal and authorize the Speaker and Chief Clerk to make necessary corrections or additions.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Go to Order of Business 7, messages from the Senate.
Senate Chamber, Carson City, March 25, 2021. To the Honorable Assembly, I have the honor to inform your honorable body that the Senate on this day adopted Senate Concurrent Resolution Number 7. Sherry Rodriguez, Assistant Secretary of the Senate.
Go to Order of Business 8, motions, resolutions, and notices.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 7, introduced by the Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections, recognizing the 200th anniversary of Greek independence. Resolved that this resolution becomes effective upon adoption. End of resolution.
Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the Assembly adopt Senate Concurrent Resolution Number 7.
Assemblywoman Miller's move for the adoption of Senate Concurrent Resolution Number 7. Remarks?
Senate Concurrent Resolution 7 recognizes March 25, 2021 as the bicentennial of Greek independence and calls upon all Nevadans to remember and appreciate the independence, creativity, and rich heritage of Greek American Nevadans, and to recognize the contributions Greek Americans have made to Nevada and the United States. Order of Business 15.
Order of Business 15.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Greek Americans have contributed to Nevada from the 1800s, coming to work as miners in the copper mines near Ely and McGill. Greek Americans have been active in the gaming industry and have been involved in ownership and operation of casinos in both the Reno and Las Vegas area. Greece has American military bases on Greek soil in order to help protect both nations' security interests. Greek Americans in Nevada have also been very active in public life. Probably the most famous Greek American in public life is Congresswoman Dina Titus, and former Congresswoman Shelley Berkeley is also of Greek descent. Metro Police Officer Shay Michelonis, who is recovering from the awful wounds he suffered, is also a young Greek American Nevadan.
Any further remarks? All those in favor of adopting Senate Concurrent Resolution Number 7 signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. The resolution is adopted and ordered to the Senate.
Notice of exemption, March 25, 2021, the Fiscal Analysis Division, pursuant to Joint Standing Rule 14.6, has determined the eligibility for exemption of Assembly Bills 224, 231, 279, 319, 324, Sarah Kaufman, Fiscal Analysis Division.
Go to Order of Business 9, introduction, first reading, and reference of bill.
Assembly Bill 398, introduced by the Committee on Commerce and Labor, an act relating to sales of residential property, providing that a seller's agent may not complete a disclosure form regarding the residential property, providing that a seller's agent is not liable to the purchase under certain circumstances, and providing other matters properly there too. Assembly Bill 399, introduced by the Committee on Natural Resources, an act relating to eggs, prohibiting a farm owner or operator from confining egg-laying hens in an enclosure which is not an cage-free housing system or is a cage-free housing system that has insufficient usable floor space for each egg-laying hen, requiring a farm owner or operator to obtain a certificate stating that the egg products are shell eggs sold, offered, or exposed for sale, or transported for sale within the state are produced by an egg-laying hen housed in an enclosure that is not prohibited, requiring the payment of an application fee and renewal fee for such certificates, authorizing the State Department of Agriculture to deny, suspend, or revoke a certificate for certain causes, providing for an appeal within 10 business days after such an action, prohibiting a business owner or operator from doing business with a farm owner or operator that does not have a certificate, providing that the department or an authorized inspector or agent of the department is entitled to free access during regular business hours to the farm business records or vehicles of a farm owner or operator or business owner or operator to carry out inspections, authorizing the state quarantine officer to adopt regulations, including regulations establishing reasonable fees and charges, providing that certain civil penalties apply to any person who violates any provisions of this bill, and providing other matters properly laid thereto. Assembly Bill 400, introduced by the Committee on Judiciary, an act relating to public safety, revising provisions relating to prohibited acts concerning the use of marijuana and the operation of a vehicle or vessel, and providing other matters properly laid thereto. Assembly Bill 401, introduced by the Committee on Judiciary, an act relating to criminal justice, requiring the Advisory Commission on the Administration of Justice to appoint a subcommittee to conduct an interim study concerning the sealing or expungement of records of criminal history and providing other matters properly laid thereto. Assembly Bill 402, introduced by the Committee on Judiciary, an act relating to public safety, clarifying the application of certain provisions relating to the recording of law enforcement activity, the placing of a person in certain positions by a peace officer, and the use of physical force by a peace officer, and providing other matters properly laid thereto. Assembly Bill 403, introduced by the Committee on Judiciary, an act relating to rules of the road, revising provisions relating to certain violations by pedestrians relating to crossing a highway and providing other matters properly laid thereto. Assembly Bill 404, introduced by the Committee on Judiciary, an act relating to domestic violence, establishing provisions relating to the proper venue for filing an application for an order of protection against domestic violence, revising provisions relating to the information included in an application for an order for protection against domestic violence, and providing other matters properly laid thereto. Assembly Bill 405, introduced by the Committee on Judiciary, an act relating to gaming, creating a legislative declaration regarding the use of digital and electronic signatures in the gaming industry, codifying and revising certain provisions of the regulations of the Nevada Gaming Commission, revising provisions relating to the filing of certain reports with the Nevada Gaming Control Board, revising the definition of global risk management, prohibiting certain acts relating to gaming, providing penalty, and providing other matters properly laid thereto. Assembly Bill 406, introduced by the Committee on Judiciary, an act relating to child support, providing for the withholding of gambling winnings of an obligor to pay in arrears in child support owed by the obligor, requiring the Division of Welfare and Supportive Services of the Department of Health and Human Services to adopt regulations to provide for such withholding of gambling winnings, and providing other matters properly laid thereto. Assembly Bill 407, introduced by the Committee on Judiciary, an act relating to public safety, authorizing the issuance of an order for protection of a vulnerable adult, providing for the enforcement of such an order, providing penalties for the violation of such an order, providing an additional penalty for committing a felony in violation of such an order, and providing other matters properly laid thereto. Assembly Bill 408, introduced by Assemblywoman Kasama, an act relating to taxation, revising provisions relating to the imposition of transient lodging taxes on the gross receipts of room remarketers from the reserving of, arranging for, conveying of, or furnishing of the right to use or occupy transient lodging, and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblywoman B. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bill 398 through Assembly Bill 408 be referred to the committees as shown on Assembly Bill introductions dated March 25th, 2021.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Still on order business 9.
Assembly Bill 409, introduced by the Committee on Government Affairs, an act relating to peace officers, requiring the Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission to adopt certain regulations concerning the recruitment and selection of peace officers, and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bill 409 be referred to your Committee on Government Affairs.
Without objection, so referred.
Assembly Bill 410, introduced by the Committee on Government Affairs, an act relating to public works, revising qualifications for entering into a contract with a public body as a construction manager at risk, requiring a contract between a public body and a construction manager as agent to be awarded through a competitive bidding process, removing the prospective expiration of provisions relating to construction managers at risk, and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bill 410 be referred to your Committee on Government Affairs.
Without objection, so referred. The hard-working Committee on Government Affairs. We go to order business 13, unfinished business of the preceding day. There being no objection, the Speaker and the Chief Clerk will sign Senate Bill 29. Go down to order business 15. Assemblywoman Peters.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Order business 15.
Order business 15.
I rise in support of National LGBT Health Awareness Week. In the past decade, Nevada has made unprecedented progress in being a more equitable home for our lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer community. In fact, Nevada was recently recognized by the USA Today as the best state in America for people who are LGBTQ+. And yesterday, this body passed the Equal Rights Amendment that, if passed by voters, would enshrine in our state's constitution equal rights for all Nevadans. However, LGBTQ plus people continue to encounter barriers and face discrimination based on their orientation or gender identity in daily life. Homophobia, stigmas, and discrimination against the LGBTQ plus community continue to exist in the United States and can adversely impact health outcomes. In fact, the Center for American Progress has found that LGBTQ plus individuals are twice as likely to be uninsured or choose to forego care due to concerns of how they are treated. These issues will continue to persist without continued intervention, and all people, including those who identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer, deserve access to quality health care. I applaud the work of our Department of Health and Human Services for continued advocacy for LGBTQ plus health, including aligning prevention and care delivery with existing evidence-based, culturally sensitive standards of care for LGBTQ plus patients. We were one of the first states to begin collecting sexual orientation and gender identity data as part of COVID-19 contact tracing to better understand the impact of the pandemic on the LGBTQ plus community. We've also identified LGBTQ plus as an important factor in data-driven policy development across all healthcare issues. Today, as a pansexual, cisgendered woman, I stand out for equity and remind us to be inclusive in our LGBTQ plus community while we work to make Nevada a more equitable place for all. Thank you.
Assemblymember MacArthur.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Order of Business 15.
Order Business 15.
Today is National Medal of Honor Day. This medal is the highest honor for military valor. More than 3,500 people have been awarded this medal. It is given to those who went above and beyond the call of duty on the battlefield. Throughout the day, please remember our heroic Medal of Honor recipients, past and present. Thank you.
Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just a reminder to the body, we'll be recessing today, and then we will be coming back to the floor promptly at 4:45 p.m. So please be down here and seated. We've got more committee bills coming out. If you have individual bills, please keep them turned in, so you might see a little bit of that business this evening as well. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, I'd move that we stand in recess until 4:45 p.m.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are in recess.